Hey guys, welcome back to the show. It's Danny Elliott. So, I want to bring you this article today about the potentially hazardous consequences of the California wildfires, which might surprise you, come from the smoke from the fires. I know, very controversial, but scientists warn wildfire smoke could cause, quote, really bad neurological health. So, Dana Schultz wrote this article. And this is about a study that was conducted back in November. So before these massive Eaton, Palisades, Hughes wildfires in LA County that have burned 50,000 acres and destroyed 16,000 homes and killed at least 29 people. You may be shocked to find out that there's very bad air quality in the environmentalist capital that is Southern California. So let's get into this. This is a recent study from the journal JAMA Neurology on fine particulate matter from wildfire smoke that may be linked to dementia. That's right, dementia. Researchers analyzed the electronic health records of 1.2 million Kaiser Permanente, Southern California patients. I'm assuming that's a hospital corporation, between 2009 and 2018. The patients were all age 60 or older and did not have a prior dementia diagnosis. So 80,000 people in this study were diagnosed with dementia by the conclusion of the study, supporting the hypothesis that those exposed long-term to wildfire-generated fine particulate matter had an increased incidence of cognitive decline. Interesting, isn't it? These particulates typically make their way into outdoor air via car emissions and the combustion of gas, oil, diesel fuel, or wood in factories. So this is the kind of bad air they're worried about. You know, when you drive your car, when you're burning wood in your wood burning stove, perhaps, maybe you're mixing your gas and oil in your chainsaw or your backpack blower because you're going to clean up your yard in the fall. They don't like any of that. But of course, if there's a massive wildfire burning throughout Southern California, not really a problem. No one really is talking about it right now. Everybody's just kind of tasting the bad air, on their lips. They can kind of they can sense there's something odd about the taste of the air in California right now. But let's just continue. So, quote, we have this aging population, says Joan Casey, the study's lead author and an associate professor of environmental and occupational health sciences at the University of Washington. Speaking to the Washington Post, she says, we have this aging population and we have strengthening climate change. And they may converge for really bad neurological health outcomes. People are getting old and there's climate change. Now, this is the California Air Resource Board. CARB explains that once inhaled, particulate matter can be deposited on the lung surfaces and which can then induce tissue damage and lung inflammation. Okay, that sounds more concrete. That sounds less, it's climate change, it's aging populations. Jacques Rees, a neurologist and professor of environmental medicine at the University of Strasbourg, who was not involved in the study, told the Washington Post that air particles can cause inflammation on the brain as well as neuron and DNA damage. So he says particulates, quote, will trigger a lot of modification at the cellular level, and it's why this is a risk factor for neurodegenerative disease. And other researchers have made similar claims. Example, a 2015 study published in the Environmental Health Perspectives found that long-term exposure to PM 2.5 led to increased diagnoses of dementia, Alzheimer's disease, and Parkinson's. Wildfire smoke is a problem, ladies and gentlemen, despite no one in the media is talking about it right now. The bad news is that wildfire smoke frequently causes particulate matter pollution to exceed federal standards. And these smoke impacts are expected to grow over the century as the climate warms. So I guess we're expecting more wildfires since environmentalists don't want to have fire protection in California. People may think, well, I don't see or smell smoke anymore, and it looks sunny like it normally does in Southern California, and be lulled into thinking that everything is fine. Yeah, I mean, we are pretty much being lulled into everything's fine, right? Every real estate agent in California is singing about how California will always be the greatest place on earth and everyone will come back. And, this will be a boon for real estate development, and all of the 16,000 homes are going to be rebuilt. We have nothing to worry about. The air quality index system was developed for everyday pollution and not necessarily to warn us about particles that are not typically in the air because of wildfires. Oh, okay, not typically in the air, but during wildfires, we have toxic particularity in California with particulates 2.5. An N95 mask is your best line of, if your best line of defense. I think they meant is your best line of defense. What makes the air pollution associated with fire so dangerous is that the particulate matter that seem to do the most damage are much smaller than even the microscopic droplets we saw with the crisis, because the particles are so tiny they can fit between the fibers of a simple paper mask or cloth mask and get far down into our airways, causing damage. I mean, the final thing they say here is other ways to stay safe include keeping your windows closed and having air filtration systems that are up to date in your car and in your house. So basically, don't go outside. Stay in that bad indoor air where, people are sick and, they don't change their air filters. And you're living in these apartment buildings where you have shared air, throughout the entire floor. You got a dog next to you. You got some guy smoking upstairs from you. You got all kinds of bad air, right? You have sick people sharing the same air handling systems. The air in California is dangerous, and you might be suffering from dementia as a long-term result of living in California. So, I think if your house just burned to the ground and you're deciding whether you're going to stay there for 10 more years and fight the California government and try to rebuild your house, I would probably be thinking twice about that. You know, I might be looking at, this picture right here and saying to myself, do I really want to go through another one of these in a couple of years from now, 5 years from now? Do I really want to deal with fireproofing whatever I'm about to build? Do I really want to fight over setbacks and zoning and having some bureaucrats decide whether I'm allowed to build what I want on my own private property? I would probably be thinking, nah, I really don't want to do that. I think I'm going to move on. I think I'm just going to exit while the getting is good. And especially with all these new rules coming in California, if you're an income property owner, now you have to make sure your papers are in order. You have to register your single family rental home, or else you're going to be fined for failing to register by February 28th. I would be getting out right now and finding a less contentious place to live the rest of my life. But anyway, that's just my opinion. I don't live in California. I don't have any real estate there. But, as a Floridian, I would say it's much nicer and it's much less contentious to deal with the Florida legislature, to deal with the Bay County government, the city of Panama City. I would say it's a more free place to live if you want to live in the United States. In fact, the city commission actually spoke about, what they should do as far as cleaning up the debris in the bottom of Florida's many forests that we have in our state. So that, when something happens, we do something about it. We don't just sit there and leave things to disaster at some point in the future. We get these things cleaned up when we see that there could be a potentially hazardous situation that could unfold. So that's all I got for you today. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode. I'm Danny Elliott. Thanks for watching.